This video will give a quick overview on basic operation of the new Trax 2.0 web portal. Once you log in, you're going to be presented with this view with your devices on the map. On the bottom here, you have a table with your first 10 devices. If you have more than 10, you're going to have some buttons down here to navigate through the other pages with your remaining devices. So let's take a closer look at this table down here. On the table, you're going to have your device names. There's going to be a little status connected icon next to each device name. If it's lit up green, that means that that device has sent in a packet in the last 5 minutes. Next to the device name, we have the event stamp. That is the last time that the device sent in a message, and that is in standard US format. It's month, day, year, and it's 12-hour time, so 0 to 12, and it has a AM and PM stamp for easy reading. Next to that, you have the status that it reported in. So depending on the device type that you have, that will dictate what kind of messages that you will get from the device. Typically you'll see moving, stop, engine stop, device power up, things of that nature. Next to that, we have ignition off or on. Again, that will depend on the device type that you have. Certain devices, such as battery powered devices, this is not acceptable. Speed, this is in miles per hour. Address, that'll be the address that was reported in with this event. The altitude, which is just your height above sea level heading. Lat, long, and the virtual odometer. Your virtual odometer is just the distance that the device has traveled since you've had it registered on the system. Okay, beyond that, if you click on any of these device names, the system, as you can see, we got a little pop-up down here that says now following device XRG caddy, which just means that anytime that device starts moving around, the view will automatically follow that device and it will center over it. If you want to change it to a different device, just click on another device and it'll center over that, as you can see. Also in our main view here, we have plus and minus controls on the map to zoom in and zoom out. So I can zoom in. We also have a street view option now, so you can drag this out, drop it down, pan around, and when you need to exit this view, just click on this little arrow in the upper left hand corner. That'll pop you back out. You can switch over to your satellite view by clicking satellite, and you can go back to the regular map view just by clicking map. We also have a adjuster for the table right here, so if you think this table is taking up too much space, you can click this down arrow and it will adjust down. Or if some of your devices are cut off, you can move it up just by clicking the little up button. Also, if you have hundreds of devices and you want to quickly see that device in this view here, you can just start typing the name of the device in the search box. So for instance, I'm going to start typing in, we got this one called battery powered 2. I'm going to just start typing in bat powered, and you can see it filters through automatically and it will just focus on that one. If I want all the rest back, just clear out the search box and everything comes back. Everything in this table is searchable, so if I start typing engine, you can see it filters down to just the devices with an engine status. I can also say search for an address, May, so it narrows down to my 2 devices that are on May Road, which can be kind of helpful. But once again, it's really helpful if you have hundreds or thousands of devices in the account to quickly navigate through those. Some other basic features on this front view, we have weather on this, so you can turn on or off that layer by clicking this, and you'll get confirmation in the bottom right hand corner along with most things that you do in the portal. So if we click that again, it'll add our weather layer back on. Same thing with traffic, we can turn that on and off. That's the basics for the front end view. Also, if there's any, once the devices start reporting in, start moving around, you don't need to refresh or anything. They're just going to automatically update on the screen, and this table down here will automatically update in real time. There's no need to refresh your browser or do anything like that. So moving on, we have these other options up here. We have Trax. This will give us the ability to play back where a vehicle has been during a selected period of time. We have reports. We can query all kinds of information from the reporting system. Geofence, we can draw fences on the map, and we can set up notifiers when a device enters or exits that fence. So let's go through a few examples on each of those. Alright, here's Trax. You'll notice when you click that, it's gonna change your view down here on the bottom. So let's select our time range. I'm gonna want to know the tracks for just the last 12 hours on my Alero device, and I want those tracks to be red. Then click Get Tracks. It returns the path and the stopping point, and you will see down here on the bottom the first one that we queried, the device name, the track color, the miles, just 4.6 miles, and the option to remove the tracks from the screen. Now if you click this, it doesn't actually delete it from our system, it just deletes it from your view. So you'll be able to re-query it later on at a different time. We can also layer more tracks on top of this. So for instance, I'm going to do another set of tracks, and I'm going to do an entire week. How about that? From the 20th until today. I want those to be in blue, and I'm going to do it for this other device we got here. So click. So I got my tracks, and you can see we got a good week's worth of data. And let's see what the distance was on that. You can see we went 237 miles during that week. And I want to get rid of that red track right on top of the blue one, so I could just click the trash can next to that first one. It'll remove that. I'm going to remove the other one too. So just click trash. Now let's say we want to go back to the main view. You can either click main view or the tracks button in the left hand corner. You could see one of our devices just sent in a packet You can see the little green man blinking. Looks like the device power cycled. Let's go and check out some reports. So we have a few reports here you can pick. Trips is definitely one of the most handiest. Trips, you can see where the vehicle started moving, where it stopped, how long it took to get there, the distance traveled. So I'm going to do that I'm going to run that for the past week. Alright, so you can see on this trip we started on day 320 at 12:58 p.m. and we traveled for 25 minutes for a total of 14.84 miles. The trip ended at 1:23:58. So you can see it matches that time traveled in between our start time and our stop time. And it will tell you how long it was stopped at that location, at the stopped address. And better yet, if you click on any one of these, it will show you on the map the actual path that was taken. So we can click on any one of these. Here's a little bit longer one. You can see this one was for 45 miles, and it took a total of 36 minutes and 51 seconds to get there. Okay, let's pull up a different report. Another good one is raw data. Raw data dumps everything, every message that came in from the device over the time period that you select. So let me just do the last 24 hours on this guy. You can see it gives your event stamp, the address, the altitude, heading, ignition state, lat long, speed, the status code that was sent in, and the virtual odometer at the time of the stamp. Some other reports that we have are geozones. If you have any geofences, it'll tell you if the device went in or out of the geofence. So let's see if we triggered any for the last 24 hours now. Okay, let's try the last week. No. Alright. This guy did, but not the other one. Let's try another report here. How about engine hours? So this will give you the amount of engine hours per trip and the total for the range of time that you select. So once again, I'm going to just leave it on the full week. Run the report, and you can see, okay, for this trip, we got 25 minutes. For the next trip, we got 4 minutes. The next trip was 37 minutes. So the trip starts by your first point that comes in is the ignition on, and then your next point that we look for is the ignition off, and that's how we calculate the amount of engine time. So then if you go at the very bottom, it's going to sum up all these engine hours, and it's going to give you the total for that period of time, which is 7 hours and 27 minutes. You can even go as far as to run this for the entire year. Let's do that real quick. Let's do it for over a year. We'll just start at January 2015. And keep in mind, this is going to be a pretty large report that gets returned, so give it a few seconds or minute to run here. It looks like it's already done. It's processing on our side. It's already returned. Just keep in mind this is over a year's worth of data. So let me scroll down here to the bottom, and you can see total engine hours for over a year. We did 495 hours and 56 minutes and 57 seconds. If you do maintenance on your fleet of vehicles, and if you base that maintenance off engine hours, this could be really handy for you. There's also reports such as ignition on off. Let's do the last 24 hours. It'll tell you every time that the ignition state changed. Pretty basic report. Input toggle, basically the same thing as ignition on off, but if you have a device with inputs, we can see when those inputs alternated. In this case, with this device, the input that it's actually seeing toggle is actually the ignition, so this is the same as the ignition report. Distance, this will give us the total distance during that period that we just selected. So we could even do this same as the last one. We can go back. Oops, I just had it. I'm going to do over a year. Let's see how long this takes. Oh, it's done. Looks like we did about 11,500 miles. Not too much. Maintenance. This is very specific. I know there's no messages coming in from this device regarding maintenance, but we can set customized messages from your device to say report in a maintenance message every 3,000 miles, and I don't have any on here, so nothing's going to show up. So we could set that for you, so every 3,000 miles you'll get a maintenance message, and you'll know to do whatever you need to take care of at that point in time. We already did raw data. Overspeed, I want to see anytime we went over 80 miles an hour, and I'm probably going to have to cover a year for that. Okay, so this is over a year. Let's see if we ever broke 80. No? Okay, how about 70? I'm sure we broke 70. Oh yeah. As you can see, it only grabs speeds that are above the threshold that you requested, 70 miles an hour. Gives you the address, timestamp, lat long. And finally, we have status code. You can search for specific messages. So let me try to search for any power-up messages. I may not have any, so I'm going to search over the span of a year on this guy. I do have a few. This will tell me any time that the device was plugged back in. As you can see, it just exported exactly what we had on there into this Excel table. Same thing with PDF.